everybody. Welcome to another episode from Your Own Pathway, the space where truth meets transformation. Here, we build foundations and we break generational patterns. And here, we also talk about leadership, healing, and everything that it takes to rise with soul and integrity. So, if you're ready to stop performing and start leading, you're in the right place. So, let's get right to it and let's start owning it. So, this week, I feel as though my episodes have been really up to date with, I don't want to say pop culture, but with everything going on in the world and in the news. And this one is definitely pop culture. And this episode is an article. I'm definitely going to link it in, linked in the description box, was written by Vogue. I know Vogue. Okay, people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, Vogue." Okay, all right. So it was, trust me, even though it's written by Vogue, I wanted to do it today because it was so interesting. It is very much on brand with your own pathway in owning it. And so they wrote an article. I'm gonna share here just the title. I'm gonna put it in the description box too. But let's see here. Share screen. Oh God. Okay. So it said that the title is called "Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now?" And so, of course, this was all over social media. Everybody was talking about it, and I don't want to say that I jumped on the bandwagon, but I was reading this, and I'm like, oh my god, there's so much psychology and mental well-being related to this article that I'm just like, you know what, I should really dissect this and I should react to this because there's so much that I want to talk about that relates to, again, your own pathway in owning it. And especially in the population that I worked with, like I worked with a lot of women who came to me who felt that they weren't worthy or they were not enough because they were not partnered or did not have the traditional sense of relationship. And they just felt that there was something wrong with them or that they were behind. And so this article came about, and there is such a shift now, which I'm so happy about it. And that's why I wanted to that's why I wanted to do this episode today to really look at the mental well-being about this article. So without further ado, I think I said it right? Without further ado, let's get right into it. So again, this, having, reading that article, it was short, and I was like, yeah, I understand this. And so again, the title is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? And when I read the headline, I thought, okay, I need to talk about this. So I don't want to come from this from like a gossip or pop culture lens, even though it may come out that way, but I want to, again, come from a mental health perspective. And again, part of my work with so many women that came to me were just like, what's wrong with me? I need this, I need that. They tried and they compromised who they were to be in a relationship, and instead came to therapy with more trauma, more grief, and more things to work through than before. So I think again, this is such a shift for women and women empowerment. And, um, I see so many women and men too. I want to say I see men too, but I'm going to talk about women because we've been so conditioned to believe that we had to be partnered. And when people come to me and they're not able to, I don't want to say not able, but they're not where they thought they should be or where everybody thought they should be, they start asking themselves, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, and say, why can't I find someone? Or worse, like, what's wrong with me? And underneath all that pain is, again, this old programming, especially girls and women, that we were raised that our worth, our value, and our image was dependent on being partnered. And especially for those who were raised in very patriarchal or very, collectives, cultures, we were taught that being married or just even having a boyfriend somehow levels you up, that makes you more stable, more desirable, successful, and better than the ones who couldn't find a boyfriend. And if you're not partnered, you're often told, oh, your clock is ticking. You're too old. You better hurry up or settle down. Don't wait too long. I personally, I've had all of that. I've had all of that. And, I've been told that since I was 20 years old. Okay. Like I'm 42 now. I've been told that since I was 20 years old, that I better hurry up, that I better settle down at 20 years old, guys. 20, 20. And I know that a lot of you have also went through everything that I went through too. And this is why I want to break down this article and have this episode today, is because now we're seeing a massive cultural and psychological shift, especially with this article. And for the first time, women, I'm going to say women here, okay? Your self-worth and your self-value are no longer dependent on being partnered. And that is huge. So when in the article, when the article asks, is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? I saw this not just as a pop culture question, but as a reflection question on that very shift. So I wanted to unpack this and what's actually going on beneath the surface and what it says about our collective mental health here. So, part one is the new embarrassment culture. So the article, excuse me, they interviewed a woman who said that having a boyfriend feels, quote unquote, a bit cringe, even embarrassing to post about it online. They talked about the soft launching their relationships, showing a hand, a dinner plate, or a silhouette, but never the full picture. And some even said posting a boyfriend felt like losing their credibility. At first, I'm like, oh gosh, okay. But as a therapist, I see something deeper. This isn't about just wanting to share a selfie. It's about how women are redefining identity and safety in visibility. Because for decades, women were told that having a boyfriend or being married was their stamp of worth and also their proof of being chosen and complete. So now, when the cultural script flips and says, actually, being single is the new flex, it's kind of confusing. It's not really embarrassment about having a boyfriend, it's the embarrassment of being seen as dependent or soft or needing someone. And let's be real. Social media is constantly changing and it has fueled this confusion. We've all seen this, like the perfect couple photos, my forever, or my person, or my ride and die, that looks picture perfect. And yet, behind those smiles, I can tell you this, there's often a completely different story. And in therapy, I hear this all the time. Everything looks perfect on the outside, but I'm falling apart inside. They're often maintaining an image because that is what is expected, because the relationship has become part of their identity. What this article really does is it gives people, especially women, permission to drop the facade. It's saying to women, you don't have to be fake anymore, or you don't have to live in this filtered version of happiness just to meet someone else's standard or have it all together looks like. You can choose to compromise your truth. You don't have to compromise your truth just to meet societal expectations anymore. And you know what? You can say this. You can say, I want something real, not something that just looks good on camera. Okay, so moving on, I want to next focus on the identity, the autonomy, and the boundaries. And from a therapist's lens, what we're seeing is an identity of tug of war. And so many women are trying to figure out how to be independent and connected, and also how to love without disappearing, and how to receive without surrendering their power. Because honestly, we have seen so much of that. We've seen our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts, whoever, you know, we've seen for generations after generations that women were taught that partnership often meant for us self erasure, and to be agreeable and to be nurturing and to be self sacrificing, even at the cost of our well being and especially our authenticity. And now, like I see the pendulum, like it has swung. We've gone from I need someone to complete me, which by the way, I plan to do an episode on, to I don't need anyone. And honestly, both come from the same wound, the fear of losing one's self. And again, in therapy, I often hear, I'm afraid if I let people in that I'll lose my independence, especially someone who has been hurt before or have seen other people around them be hurt. Or I work so damn hard to build my identity, I can't risk losing and having someone take it away from me. And here are both those statements. What I'm really hearing and what I'm hearing people say is I'm still learning how to trust that I can love and stay me at the same time. Healthy autonomy is not isolation, it's all about integrating. It's learning to stand strong in your own foundation while allowing someone to stand beside you, not above you. What I'm seeing more and more is women who finally know themselves, okay? Women with strong boundaries, with deep clarity, and with solid integrity. Women are no longer willing to compromise who they are, what they value, or what they believe just to have a relationship. It's not that they're afraid of love, they're just not willing to abandon themselves for it anymore. Okay? Woohoo, if you ask me. They're looking for partners who complement them, not complete them. Someone who can stand beside them and clap when they shine, and someone who celebrates their success, their healing, their voice, and definitely someone who does not compete with it. Because love should never require you to shrink, it should amplify you. All right? And that is not arrogance, that is alignment right there. So, moving on, we talked about this, like there's so many things going on with social media, and the social media anxiety loop of all of this is, especially if you're a woman. I'm going to talk from being a woman's perspective, and especially since this article talked about having a boyfriend, and I'm assuming this is like cis heterosexual women. So if you post your relationship, people judge. If you don't post, people speculate. And in between, you start managing your image instead of living your truth. And it's emotional performance anxiety. Love becomes content, and intimacy becomes a strategy. And over time, that builds what I call the emotional dissonance, which is when your outer image and your inner reality don't match. And let's be real, that is basically social media right there. So, what happens is you start to wonder. You start to wonder if people knew the truth, would they still see you the same way? And we've seen so much of this. We've seen so much of this. So much of this in just in 2025 is um, a woman, a woman who has built her entire brand around relationship goals or um, couple goals, or only for the image to shatter when infidelity or betrayal or something else happens that surfaces. Suddenly, the internet turns on them, especially if it is a woman's platform. We see this. People say, "See, this is what happens when you make your relationship your brand," or people question this person's authenticity, her integrity, and her message. But I think the thing is, like, we don't realize that like, these women often become trapped because once their love life is a platform and becomes their brand, they often become trapped in that livelihood. It's not just love anymore, it's labor. Even when the relationship stops working, you still have to perform that part. And honestly, that is emotionally draining. And from a mental health lens, it's a slow erosion of authenticity. So, I want to make clear that this is not about blaming women. This is not blaming those women who has built their platforms and brands around that. It's about exposing a system that profits off illusion and punishes women for being human. And so the healing part about this is it's all about untangling your worth from the algorithm. And I know that's harder than said, especially that if that is what you make your money off. And I think, this is what is happening is to say, you can still love someone and not need to prove it. You can still be proud of your relationship and still protect its sacredness. And you can still be visible without being performative. Because authenticity doesn't require announcement, and love does not require an audience. So, moving on to part four. I think I'm on part four now, but from achievement to choice. So, for generations, being in a relationship was the ultimate goal for a lot of women, to prove that you were worthy, you were chosen, you were enough. But now that narrative is crumbling, and I'm going to say I'm glad it's crumbling because people, and especially women, are seeing that partnership isn't the prize anymore. You know what is? Peace. Peace is. And this is not a anti-relationship or anti-validation episode, or it's not about saying that we don't want you to have a relationship. It's moving from I'm valuable because someone chose me to I'm valuable because I choose myself every day. It's about the emotional safety, it's the mutual respect, and the peace of mind are not luxury standards. They are the freaking bare minimum. I'll say it again. They are the freaking bare minimum. So I don't know about you all, but I've been told, oh, your standards are too high. And I thought, my standards are high? I just want to be treated right. Is that too high? Apparently it is. And so when someone tells you that your standards are too high, I want to tell you right now, no. No, they're not. They're healthy. They're healthy because when someone asks you to lower them, what they're really saying is, please compromise your peace so I can stay comfortable. Darling, don't do it. If being loved means losing your peace, that's not love, that's control. And healthy love should add to your life, not drain it. So the new milestone isn't marriage anymore, it's self mastery. The new relationship goal isn't couple goals anymore, it's alignment goals. When you choose yourself, you stop chasing validation and you start attracting the reciprocity. And that is what true emotional evolution looks like. So, We are the generation of healing the relationship wounds, especially women. And that's not a small thing. Because we come from a line of women who were told to stay no matter how much it hurt, no matter how badly we were treated, no matter how badly we had to sacrifice. We were told that it was our job to do it, that we had to hold it all together. From families that taught us that endurance is love and silence as strength, that we had to be strong, and that was what love was all about. And so now a lot of women, modern women today, are like, nope, I'd rather be alone than half loved. And that's not fear, that's healing. Because we are no longer equating struggle with love. I'll say it again. We are no longer equating struggle with love. We're learning that love causes peace is not love at all. Healing means unlearning the chaos. It means recognizing that love shouldn't be earned through suffering or sacrifice. It should feel like safety, reciprocity, and mostly peace. You start realizing that healthy love doesn't threaten your independence, it nourishes it. The right person will not dim your light and be threatened by it. They will hand you the mic and say, shine louder, shine louder. So, women today say, I'm protecting my peace. I'm waiting for emotional safety, or I'm not lowering my standards. That's not bitterness at all. That's awareness. We are rewriting the entire language of love, and one that begins with self respect, not self erasure. Because this isn't just about dating, it's about power, healing, and legacy. Okay? So, in all, back to the article. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? No. What is embarrassing is betraying yourself just to be chosen. What's powerful in choosing yourself first is that when love finds you, it finds you whole. This is not the era of desperation, and this is the era of discernment. So, in all, ladies, own your boundaries, own your standards, and most importantly, own your story. Okay. Okay. Oh, I need some water here. Because when you know who you are, love stops being a gamble. It becomes a mirror. And that reflection, that's the wholeness. That's what wholeness looks like. So this is your own pathway, ladies. Forge your own path and own it. And that is all I have for y'all today. Again, I will link the article in the description box. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are new and enjoyed this episode, hit the like button. And if you like my other work or the work that I'm putting out there, please hit the subscribe button. Your support means the world to me. That is all I have for today. And take care, stay safe, and see you next time.